A lot of questions on the ACT involve understanding graphs. I assume everyone knows how to plot a point on a graph. Each point is defined by an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. Any 2 points on a graph determine a straight line. Most of the questions you will get involving graphs will be about straight lines. Let's do definitions first. An intercept is where the line crosses a given axis. The y-intercept, for example, is where the line crosses the y-axis. Intercepts are very useful, as we will see. The slope of a line is basically its tilt. If it goes up from left to right, the slope is positive, and if it goes down, it's negative. The equation of a straight line involves an x term and a y term and a number. The standard form of an equation for a straight line is, for example, 3x plus 4y equals 12. Now, the easiest way to plot this line on a graph is to find the intercepts. At the y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So if we plug x equals 0 into the equation, we can solve for the y-intercept. For this line, when x equals 0, y equals 3. Similarly, we can find the x-intercept, which is x equals 4 and y equals 0. So if we plot the points 4, 0, the x-intercept, and 0, 3, the y-intercept, on a graph, we can draw the line. Okay, so what are we expected to know about lines on a graph? First of all, the slope, which you probably know as rise over run. For this line, using the intercepts as our 2 points, the rise is 3 and the run is 4. Because the line slopes down from left to right, the slope is negative 3/4. Using the slope formula, it would be 0 minus 3 divided by 4 minus 0, which is negative 3/4. If you reverse the order of the points, you reverse both signs for numerator and denominator so that the sign of the fraction stays the same. It's a good idea to check the direction of the line and make sure the sign of the slope is correct. Now, the most useful form of the equation of a straight line is called the slope-intercept form. If we solve the equation for y, the resulting equation will tell us the slope and the y-intercept. Let's do it with this equation. Subtract 3x from both sides. So now we have 4y equals 12 minus 3x. Now divide by 4, and we have y equals 3 minus 3/4 x. In the slope-intercept form, the x term is written before the number. So we make this y equals negative 3/4 x plus 3. The coefficient of the x term is the slope, negative 3/4, and the number is the y-intercept, 3. All right, here are some important facts about straight lines. 2 lines that are parallel have the same slope. 2 lines that are perpendicular have negative reciprocal slopes. What does that mean? Negative reciprocal means flip the fraction over and change the sign. So the slope of a line perpendicular to this line, 3x plus 4y equals 12, would be 4 over 3. We turned the fraction upside down and changed the sign. One thing you might be asked is to find the midpoint of 2 points on a graph. This is the simplest thing to do. The coordinates of the midpoint are the averages of the x and y coordinates of the 2 points. Remember to observe the signs. Well, let's try a question. What is the midpoint of the points with coordinates 5, negative 3, and 13, 7? Well, the average of the x coordinates is 5 plus 13 divided by 2, or 9. The average of the y-coordinates is negative 3 plus 7 divided by 2. That's 4 divided by 2, or 2. So the midpoint has the coordinates 9, 2. Now it's time to talk about the distance between 2 points on a graph. Maybe you remember the complicated formula that involves a long square root. That formula is simply the Pythagorean theorem. So if you can't remember it, make a graph with the 2 points you want to know the distance between. Then draw a line parallel to the x-axis through one point and a line parallel to the y-axis through the other. These two lines and the line between the points make a right triangle. The distance is the hypotenuse of that triangle. Let's try it. Let's try the points 3, 2 and 6, 5. The difference in the x direction is 3. The difference in the y direction is also 3. So those are the sides, the legs of a right triangle. And you know what the hypotenuse of a right triangle that has sides both 3. Yes, of course, that's the isosceles right triangle. So the hypotenuse is 3 times the square root of 2. If you don't remember the distance formula, learn to do distance on a graph this way.